I'm Leanne O'Boyle, I'm the director of Thomas Paine Legacy, and I will be speaking about a letter that Benjamin Franklin wrote to his son William on the 22nd of March, 1775. What I think is interesting about the letter that Benjamin Franklin wrote to his son William on the 22nd of March, 1775, is when you think about the timing of it. He was literally bobbing along on the surface of the Atlantic. He left England on the 20th of March, so he's 2 days into his journey. And he writes this extraordinarily long letter to his son, who's also the governor of New Jersey. And so there's this layering of the professional, the role he was there to do, with the personal, because you can't tear the two apart. And the fact he's choosing to write to his son, I think, says quite a lot about where his mind was at. And this letter, Franklin, in quite a lot of detail, goes through what has happened in the preceding year, beginning with his sort of public humiliation in the cockpit in January 1774. He really found a spiritual home in London. He was welcomed as this scientist of the Enlightenment, to the point that he ignored the fact that his actual wife back at home was really quite ill for a long time. He was aware of this, and yet he never made the journey. And thinking through why he wrote this, I mean, Franklin used those transits across the ocean as a time for reflection. I think the fact he sat down to write this long letter detailing everything that had sort of happened, the negotiations that had happened. Is this because he's trying to fill his son in on what's happened? But as much as anything else, is he also possibly trying to work through and process everything that's happened that last year? The timing of this letter and his transit back now is sort of doubly tragic, because he'd only just found out that Deborah had actually died as well. She'd died just before the Christmas. His wife had already died, and he had absolutely no idea. The letter that William writes to him finally arrives probably in the February. So with the choices he was making around this point, and the realization that this kind of life's work of his to arguably strengthen ties between the American colonies and particularly the Crown, was kind of left in tatters around him. And then certainly events had run away from him, because whilst he's on that crossing, there is a warrant for his arrest issued in England, and the first shots are fired at the battles of Lexington and Concord in April. So that bridge has very much been burnt. And then he arrives back in America, and a very, very different path forward is taken. I think his choice of William is perhaps as much to persuade William and maybe to give this detailed account to show that there is nothing further that could have been done here. And if that is the way things are moving, it's because it's an impossible situation. And heartbreaking, given that their relationship never recovers from the positions they both take. There is something for me about that space, being in the middle of an ocean between these two worlds, these two competing sides that are very soon going to be at war with each other. A world where the middle ground was rapidly vanishing as the two sides were becoming so entrenched in their own position and really were not communicating effectively at all. So it was beginning to fall apart. He was the person in that middle ground, that impossible position, trying to navigate this incredibly difficult situation. Now he's no longer in that position. He's leaving, because I think he's realized he has to. He has to pick a side, and it's not the one I think he thought it was going to be. For me, it's just this beautiful metaphor of this extraordinarily important person being taken out of time whilst he's journeying back to America to reflect on what's happened, where he is now, and possibly what he's going to have to do next. And there has to be in the back of his mind an awareness that that might mean him and William, their relationship shatters, which is of course what happens.